Listen, guys, I brought you all here today because I found something I need, and it's big. Real big and real expensive. I can't keep you guys. Not all of you. Not most of you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to sell you guys. But which one first?
You can sell that stupid Rolls Royce.
No! Rolls Royce stays.
What about Mikey?
I kind of like Mikey. Mikey stays.
Yes!
But one of these has to go first. So many good memories. Actually, I love you and I'm keeping you forever. You get out of the line now. Ooh, this one's kind of dangerous. That one probably should be sold. I don't know. My 81 Toyota. I love you. Classic. Good memories on that one. Ah, the 12 valve Cummins Cuda. Choked up just thinking about that one. And from all the diesel smoke. Man. We tow everything with this thing. Whew! That's good times in this. It's our workhorse, but we got other workhorses. Oh man. This would clear up a lot of space in the garage, actually. I've literally never put out any actual fires with this fire truck. Why do I even have a fire truck? I love it, and it's good insurance, but it's nice to have, though. I feel safe with it. Earl. End of world Earl. We've been through a lot together, buddy. A lot. My first gen Cummins. 12 valve, W350, 4-wheel drive, dually. Yeah, I actually don't have any memories with you. I haven't really done anything with you. I just bought you because you're a great deal. And been a solid truck. Wouldn't be able to get very much money for you, though. But this truck's never let me down. Only a battery. That's it. El Cromino. My first burnout car. The Champ, you know? so many good memories with this car, and has been through so many iterations. And I probably could sell it for like 150 grand. No, $150. Yeah. I don't know if that one's worth selling. I'll think about it. Oh man. Eldorado, the 64. Coming off a big win at LS Fest. Could sell this thing. Probably get a lot. It's a classic. It's got a lot of upgrades, a lot of horsepower. But I feel like it still has so much to prove out on the burnout circuit. My ZR1, 1990. This was in a flood in Houston. We redid everything on it. It's got brand new engine, 600 horsepower, new transmission, new rear end, new suspension, new wheels, new tires, new brakes, all new electronics, new interior, new paint. I don't want to do it. But this is the one I have to sell first. Let's get you listed. That's heading home today. Heading to Tennessee. Congrats on winning that thing. The first step to selling a car is you need to make it look nice. And then you can take some pictures. So we need to go clean this thing. Everything needs to be cleaned. So I think I'm gonna start here with the LT5 engine, which as you can see is very dusty. We can fix that. Let's do it. She's clean. So clean. I got the interior all cleaned up, detailed, got the wheels all cleaned up. Probably put a little bit of tire shine on there. I cleaned all the glass, cleaned the engine bay, and then I went over the paint and got it all nice and clean. So now we're gonna take it outside. The light's actually, I think, pretty good for it right now. We're gonna take some pictures of it, a bunch of different angles, and try to make it look really nice. And you wanna, when you're selling cars, you wanna make sure you show all the flaws too. And so you don't wanna fake it and exaggerate it, not very ethical. So we're not gonna like cheat anything, but we wanna show how good this thing looks while also showing if it does have, you know, flaws and stuff like that. Whew. Golly. We're gonna put it over just outside the building, try to have a kind of basic background for these pictures, because you're selling the car, you're not selling the background, so we're just trying to make it, you know, not too busy behind there. I think this might work. Whew, yeah, I like it. Look at that ZR1 right there. David's a better photographer than me, just barely, so he's on it. We're gonna list this thing on Bring a Trailer just because basically because I think the site's really cool and fun. Not sponsored by Bring a Trailer at all, but I actually bought the Toyota on Bring a Trailer, and it was a fun process, like bidding. So it's an auction site. And I also have no idea what this car is worth, and so I'm just gonna put like a very reasonable reserve and just kind of see what it goes for. But Bring a Trailer is a lot more work because you got to get a bunch of pictures of everything, and then you submit all the info to them, and I think they like write up the ad for me. I don't know, I've never done it, so we're putting a little extra effort into selling this car just so I can kind of learn what it takes to sell a car on Bring a Trailer. Because I also could just put it on Craigslist, but then you know, it's Craigslist, so we may actually sell some of the other cars on Craigslist. Bring a Trailer is probably too much work for what we would get out of those. And we're gonna change the angle of the car now, and I just got in here and instantly got mud on the seat that I just cleaned. So I took my boots off. Just turning the car now for different angles. So we're gonna do that. Whoo-wee. Look at that. I'll let you guys time lapse this. It's gonna take a while. Probably an hour's worth of moving the car and taking pictures. Listen guys, I'll make you a good offer. Like, what do you got? You guys got American dollars, or, I mean, I'll take whatever you want. Come on, listen, motivated seller here. Hold on. Think we got it figured out. Problem though is one of our, see the headlights are on little motors, they spin, but this one over here doesn't go all the way down, as you can see. What's a bummer is those are both new motors because this thing was in a flood, and so we replaced like nearly all the electronics. A lot of electronics were fried. Anything that was broken or bad, we just replaced it. Those were broken, we replaced both of them, and now it's been 2 years and one's not working again, which is weird. So we'll fix that before we sell it. Our Bring a Trailer says that they want pictures of the undercarriage too. That car is low with our aftermarket suspension, so like you can't see anything. So we're gonna put it on our 2-post lift, but we got a Ranch Stang up here right now because Ranch Stang had like terrible suspension. So we took out these old springs. Burke put in some beefier springs. So hopefully this thing won't be flopping around like it did at last Cleetuson cars, but it's not actually, you can see it's not actually in yet all the way. So we're just gonna kind of get it good enough and then pull the Ranch Stang off the lift, throw the Corvette on there, jack it up. Got her temporarily put back together so we can roll it. I'm gonna set her down, bring in the Vet, and see how dirty it is under there. I haven't looked under that car in like 2 years, like on a lift. So we'll see. Let's see what we got under here. Also, we had to drive it up on those blocks. This car's so low, the lift would not go under it. So Corvettes don't have a big open grille like a lot of cars in the front. All the air gets sucked up right here. Also, we're leaking radiator fluid. Yeah. Oh, what do you say? Actually, we should probably just tighten that up. Finding all kinds of stuff when we're looking. So tighten that thing, keep it from dripping. Look at that, it's actually dripping pretty fast out of there. That was loose, Berg tightened it up, good to go. Also, it looks pretty dang good under here. You see our long tube headers right there. See our Corsa exhaust. Let me show you these cutouts, they're pretty sweet too. You guys who have been watching the channel for a while saw all these videos. We had the whole build on this channel, but this Corsa exhaust was here. We added these little extensions here. You can see where it Y's off on both sides, and that just basically passes past the muffler. So you can make it very loud with these cutouts, which are electronic, all controlled with the switch inside. We put 410 gears in it. We have this Vance Steel geometry fix, basically, to make it all work better. And then you can see we have Ride Tech springs, so coilovers on all 4 corners. It's dripping just because it's rainy outside, so there's some water on the underside of this deal. But man, we did a bunch of this thing. See our coilovers. These C4s actually had a really interesting setup. They had a mono leaf, so they had a big leaf spring, basically like that, but it was a mono leaf, so it was just one, and instead of going from front to back, it went from left to right, which is cool, and it was, I think it was made out of fiberglass, so it was lighter and interesting, but coilovers just work way better, and we wanted to lower that car, give it a really cool stance. We put those big old fat tires. Has 335s in the rear, BF Goodrich, on some BC forged bronze wheels. Big Willwood brakes, drilled and slotted rotors. We had 315s in the front. So that's an 11-inch wide wheel in the front, 12.5-inch wide wheel in the back with 315s and 335s. So big old fat meats front and back, which this thing just looks so good with it. The transmission was still good. We did put a new twin disc clutch on it. We put a short throw shifter. We put some different electronics that were fried in the flood. Basically all the electronics, like I said, were redone on this thing, but it's a good car now. It really is solid. I just need to make room for something else. We also redid everything. I was kind of planning on keeping this car forever. So we put all new bushings on this thing, on that sway bar there. We put new U-joints in, new ball joints in. It's a good car. It actually came with this Corsa exhaust, which sounds really good, but we wanted a little more. For those who don't know about ZR1s, 1990 was the first year of the ZR1. This is a 1990, so it was the very first ZR1. And the Corvettes in the C4 era were pretty lame with their engines, especially in 1990. They had, I think it's called an L98 engine back then. I don't know when the LT1 came in. I think it was 91, maybe it was 1990. But the base model Corvettes had the L98, which was a wimpy engine. Horsepower was, I think, in the 200s. Yeah, because the LT1 came in at 300 horsepower. So this thing came in at 375 horsepower, which was a lot for back in the day. So this thing, they called it the King of the Hill. The ZR1 was dubbed the King of the Hill because it was a supercar of its time. So Ferrari had supercars, Lamborghini had supercars. The Corvette was just a Corvette. It was the American, American muscle, but it was, but then the ZR1 came out and GM had made a supercar. So some subtle differences between this and a base model, because when you look at them from the outside, it's really hard to tell. The ZR1 is really the giveaway. They had different wheels, which we of course have swapped out to nicer, bigger wheels even, but they had bigger wheels, they looked a little cooler, they had the ZR1 badge, and then they're actually 3 inches wider. So it had a mild wide body, really impossible to tell unless you really know what you're looking at. Like I even have to kind of double take and say, is that body wider than a regular base model? But other than that, oh, and this little third brake light up here was a ZR1 thing as well. Other than that though, they look exactly like the base model Corvettes, which is actually a reason that the ZR1s didn't do great. They did really good, I think, at first, for the first couple of years, and then sales kind of fell off because they brought in, the base models had more horsepower. The ZR1s got a little bit more horsepower as well, up to 405 in 1992, but they still looked very boring, like a base model Corvette. And the problem with that, like you might say, who cares? The problem was people were paying a whole lot more for these. In 1990, they sold these brand new, a base model Corvette, brand new, for $32,000. If you wanted the ZR1, if you wanted to add the ZR1 option, it was $27,000 more added to your price. It doubled the price of the car for a car that looks nearly identical and only has, I think it had a little more than 100 extra horsepower. It's like it had 120 extra horsepower and it looked the same, and you were doubling the price of the car for that. Wide body, different wheels, third brake light. None of that justifies the price being twice as much. So what does? I don't know if anything does back in the day, but it's this engine. This engine, the LT5, was revolutionary in a bunch of ways. It was a crazy engine, a wild change from what they had been putting in their Corvettes. So they had an iron engine, the L98, and it made in the 200s. This is an all aluminum engine. So aluminum block, aluminum heads, aluminum intake and everything, of course, but all aluminum engine, which was crazy. It was designed by Lotus, made by Mercury Marine. But what's really interesting is it has 4 cams and 32 valves. So this is a dual overhead cam. There are 2 camshafts in each head, which is crazy. And then of course 32 valves to go along with it. So this is a V8, but as you can see, there are 2 intake runners going down to each cylinder. So a wild engine, very interesting engine. A ton of development went into this, and it was a great engine. Like really a spectacle. I mean, this car was wild. This was a Ferrari Lamborghini competitor. The problem with the engine is because it has dual overhead cams, it's also very heavy. So this thing was phased out in 1995. It was the last time they put an LT5 in a Corvette. And in 1997, the LS1 came in. And the LS1, as you know, is also aluminum, but it's not dual overhead cam. The heads aren't as big. It's much lighter than an LT5. So this is a great engine, tons of horsepower, tons of torque. I think it was like 370 foot-pounds of torque, and it's just great and was a marvel. But the LS1 came in with all its technology and made this thing a relic. But me, in college, I had a 1995 Corvette with the LT1. I had a base model Corvette, looked very similar to this, of course, but it had the LT1, which only had 300 horsepower, and I put some mods on it. We did headers and we did stuff like that, but I always saw these ZR1s and I was like, gosh, that engine's crazy. So there's just like a special place in my mind for the LT5 engine. I always wanted one, and so we got it. We found this one, totally flooded out and ruined, and we tore it all apart and put it all back together and made it nice again. I remember people would come over to my house and we'd have this car torn apart and they'd be like it was in a million pieces in my barn. And they were like, why would you want to do this? And I was like, I just like the LT5. I always wanted a ZR1. And they were like, yeah, you're crazy. But look what we did. We made it. And it's done. So my LT5 is actually not the original LT5 that came in this car because mine had been in a flood and needed a total rebuild, and we were gonna send it off to be rebuilt. And then we were like, oh, there's already one for sale online. So we found one that was built and put in this guy's ZR1, and then he decided he wanted to make like a race car out of his ZR1. So he pulled it out and put a different, crazier motor in. So this engine, this is an LT5 out of a different ZR1, different Corvette. This one was built by, I'm reading right now, Pete's ZR1 Garage in Chicago. So we did a bunch of research. Pete is like apparently the guy for C4 ZR1s. He specializes in just that, is what it sounds like. So mine is actually a 391 cubic inch engine. So it's got bigger bore, has closed deck sleeves, custom pistons, factory cranking rods though, but it has 12-to-1 compression, which is a lot. And so he also custom did cams, so he has mild ground cams in there, all 4 of them, which is crazy. And then a really nice ported heads and ported intake manifold. So he guessed this engine's around 600 horsepower. Based on driving it, I would say it's around that. It feels great and a lot more power than my LT1 back in the day. So this thing's pretty wild. And then we got stainless works headers. We got new radiator, new electric fans, just everything. We made the intake flow better. Obviously the exhaust flow is way better. But now we need to go write up this ad, upload all the pictures, and see if we can get this thing listed. Okay, I just filled out a bunch of info about the car, put all the pictures up, and the pictures actually came out pretty good. We had some good lighting out there, so we were David was waiting for clouds to pass and kind of getting a couple different angles and tried to take a picture of everything to make it, as good looking as possible, but also as fair as possible. And I, put things like the paint is a 6 out of 10. I actually think it's better than a 6 out of 10. But I'm just worried that someone's gonna get the car after they buy it and be like, what the heck, there's scratches in it. It's like, yeah, but I think it's like an 8 out of 10. But I'm putting 6 just to be safe, try to be extra safe. And there's a scratch in our paint right there. Things like that will make it, someone mad if they didn't know that was there. But pictures clearly show that big old scratch right there. Submitted, it says they'll be in touch in 3 business days. We shall see, this thing will be listed soon. You guys will see this video before the thing is actually listed. And it may come back and they say, nah, you can't list that here because it's, it doesn't fit our criteria or whatever. So I'll let you guys know. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, linked in the description below. As soon as it goes live, I will advertise it there. But we're done. Now, I fully realize that there are gonna be some of you who are upset that we are selling the Corvette. And I'd explain to you why it's a good reason. But here's the deal, I know you'll still be upset at me. And you're gonna be especially upset at me when you find out that's not the only thing I'm selling. I have to sell more. But which ones? How do I choose? Find out next time on Off the Ranch. I'm on fire!
Oh. Hey, what camera is that? Number...
Shut up! Don't tell Mayor.